Sure.
Yeah,
Yes, sir. It's possible.
yeah. So, good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to convey my deep regards to the principal of the college who personally invited me through email, and also Meera ma'am, and other faculty members of the department for considering me to be a resource for this particular workshop. And also, I convey my deep apologies for joining a bit late by 10 minutes. So actually I was confused because I was thinking that the session is at 7 o'clock. Very sorry for that. But anyway, I can extend my session by 10 minutes if you are ready to join and listen to me for more beyond 7 o'clock. So coming to the research topic, I would like to talk about today the research methodology and research design in social sciences. How the research methodology and research design is used in social sciences research. Sorry. Yeah. So you had a session yesterday about literature review. I have seen the schedule and I hope you know how to do the literature review. Before that, I think you need to understand what exactly is the research and how the research has to be undertaken in social sciences. See, humans have natural tendency when the unknown is encountered, they become curious. They'll get that inquisitiveness to get to know what that unknown is. For example, if you're walking on the road and you hear a big sound, you won't walk and you won't act like you didn't hear anything, or you don't like you don't feel like getting to know what the sound is about. You want to explore, you want to find out what has caused that sound, what is the source of that sound, why that sound has come. You become curious to get to know about that. See, humans naturally are curious. They want to know when something is there and they don't know anything about it, or they it is something surprising for them, or it is something curious for them. They want to explore it. It is a natural tendency. See, for example, if I want to travel some country, before going there, I want to know what that country is about, or how the country will be, and how the culture of that country, how the travel and transport works in that country. You want to get to know before going to that country only. So humans' natural tendency, whatever it is there, that curiosity, that is there all the time. Because of that curiosity only, because of that inquisitiveness only, we have progressed to this extent. We have seen this entire world. You see, so many animals are there, so much of animal kingdom is there, but all animals haven't progressed like this. But humans, they haven't stopped as they have started. They have progressed a lot. They have invented so many things, they have discovered so many things. They try to explore, they found out so many things, they created knowledge, they explored new knowledge, they are more curious to explore more knowledge also. So this curiosity, whatever it is there, um, yes, that is helping us as a human being, as human beings, to progress as a civilized society or economy. But in academic research, if you talk about academic research, it should be a formalized system. It is a formalized process. It should be formalized process. For example, if I write an article and say that India is progressing a lot and I haven't provided evidence, people won't agree to that. If I say that India is performing great and India is GDP is progressing, per capita is very favorable, and poverty is declining, and if I'm talking all these things without providing any evidence, if these statements are not supported by the data, if it is not supported by analysis, nobody will agree that. Because in academics, okay, whatever you say, whatever you write as a research outcome, whether it is article or a book chapter, or it is whether it is a newspaper article, whatever it is, if an academician is writing about something, they should provide evidence. They should provide evidence. It should be supported by the data. It should be supported by sound methodology. That is important. So if the sound methodology is not followed, everybody say whatever they feel like. That creates so many problems, and so much of ignorance is propagated if the formalization is not mandated. If because the formalization is important, if because the systematic approach is mandated, the research provides validated outcomes. They can be cross-checked, they can be verified, they can be reciprocated, they can be recreated, they can be tested. That is why academic research always stands tall even though so much of testing is done. See, research basically is a formalized curiosity. You're curious, you want to get to know, but you won't try, you won't give a minimum effort and try to give conclusions. You have to follow a systematic approach. You have to have a formalized approach. Then only if you really feel that yes, this is the result, this is the outcome, this is the finding, and this is the finding is supported by this particular proof or evidence, then only you will, if you are convinced with the evidences, then only you will write as an article. So that is important. The formalization, the systematic approach, a systemized effort, that is very important in research. So that is where the research methodology comes into picture. Research methodology basically is the science of conducting research. Okay, if you ask what is research methodology, you should tell this particular sentence. You should give this definition. It is a science of conducting research. Research methodology says how to conduct research. Research methodology talks about how the systematic research is conducted, how it should be conducted. And what is research design? Research design basically is a systematic presentation of the methodology. Systematic presentation of the methodology that you have adopted to conduct a research. For example, if you are studying about, let's say, the comparative study of G20 countries, their economic performance in the world in the year 2025 or 2024. That means in the 2024, how the economic progress is there in the G20 countries. You want to do a comparative study. Okay, how you have done that? There should be a systematic approach for that, right? Okay, on what basis you are comparing the countries, how you are measuring the economic progress of the G20 countries. There should be a well established and acceptable scale measurement for that, first thing. And the comparison also should be done considering all the parameters that are connected to that. And the comparison should give a proper results which are reliable, which are trusted, and those outcomes, whatever you get in that research, should be acceptable in the research world, in the scholarly world. That is important. So that's why research methodology plays an important role. In research methodology, if you are writing an article on this particular topic, you will explain what type of research you have conducted. Let me go to that particular slide. I don't want to talk about all these things. It will take so much of time. You know all these things, why research is conducted, what are the reasons for that, types of research. Let me talk about it later. Yeah. In research design, you will explain about what type of research you have conducted. Is it a case study? Is it a quantitative study? Is it an empirical research? Or is it a conceptual research? Or is it an explorative research, qualitative research? How you have conducted research? Okay, the topic I have chosen, okay, as I mentioned just now, a comparative study of G20 countries' economic performance in the year 2024. So I can do any type of this research. I can do case study research also. Okay, I can pick four industries in two industries in each of the countries, and I can do comparison. I can say which of the company's performance is greater. I can say that economic condition is better. I can do mixed methodology research, I can do qualitative research, I can do quantitative research. What method, what type of research I'm doing, that I have to mention in the research design. In research design, all these components has to be explained thoroughly. Type of research is which you have adopted to conduct research. Okay, probably you know what about these two types, quantitative and qualitative research. Quantitative research is where you have scaled data which are measured in terms of numbers. That means it's a numerical data. You are using that numerical data by using some statistical methods and analyzing that data and coming up with some conclusions. That is basically quantitative research. For example, I want to study the economic performance of G20 countries. Okay, there are so much of data available. Okay, there are so many websites, reliable websites, which will publish economic score of each countries every year. They'll publish a report. You can take that data. That is basically scale data. You can do a comparison of these scores and do the comparative study. So then that study becomes a quantitative research. That becomes a quantitative research. Okay, you can do a qualitative research also. For example, if you downloaded all the articles that are there in each of the countries, G20 countries, articles that are published, newspaper articles that are published, and you have conducted text mining approach, content analysis you have done. That means that the data is not in numerical form, it is in text form. Okay, or you have conducted interviews with some economists in all these 20 G20 countries, and you have analyzed that whatever they shared, whatever the data that they have given, whatever the statements that they have given, you have, if you have done a comparative study of that, that is a qualitative research. Similarly, you can do different kinds of research. Case study can be done. Mixed methodology. Mixed methodology is where you use both qualitative and quantitative approach for the analysis. So this is a emerging methodology, mixed methodology. People usually used to go for either qualitative or quantitative, but now there is a noticeable change in the methodology where people started adopting mixed methodology. Mixed methodology is where they collect both qualitative data and also quantitative data, and they do qualitative analysis and also do quantitative analysis, and they will come up with the conclusions which is supported both by qualitative analysis and also quantitative analysis. So in that case, okay, you probably come up with sound research outcomes. You probably come up with the sound research outcomes that really helps us to establish some certain facts, okay, which are reliable, which can be trusted. So that is these are some of the types of researches are there. Okay, in every research paper you should start writing the research design by explaining what type of research you have conducted. Okay, you can start saying that, okay, this is a qualitative study, this is a quantitative study, this is a explorative study, this is a conceptual study or theoretical study. What are the type? You should explain that. That is part of research design. And next one, you should also explain how the literature review is done. There are so many types of literature review. Probably you have listened to what are the different types of literature review that are available. Okay, let me show some of the styles of literature review. Okay, there is something called narrative review. Okay, this is the conventional style where, okay, you will collect different, you will read different articles that are connected to the research topic, and whatever the each article says, you will write one paragraph about each article. You'll write, okay, so and so author says this, so and so author says this. Likewise, you'll write 50-60 articles narration, and at the end you start saying that, yeah, this is these multiple authors, like four five studies you cite, and saying that these 5 studies are talking about this, another 5 studies are talking about this, another 5 studies talking about this, and you may say that these studies have concluded this, but some other study has come up with a different outcome. Okay, critical analysis you will do. Okay, but here there are no strict methodological constraints. Okay, this is very conventional style, traditional style. Okay, most of the researchers even today they are going for narrative review. But there are so many other methods. You can see critically appraised topic method, scoping review, rapid review, and this last one, systematic review or meta-analysis, is mostly people are using. Hear some sound. So systematic review is where you download data from a database like Scopus or Web of Science or Dimensions. You put it in a tool something like Wosweaver or R, where you can do systematic literature review. Systematic literature review is where, okay, all the research articles are loaded into a particular software. That software will tell you this year this many studies are there, this year this many studies are there. Okay, this year studies are mostly talking about these things. Okay, and there is, this is how the research has progressed with the time. And also, okay, these are the different clusters that are there. Okay, these 5 6 authors are working on, okay, these subtopics in this particular research area. Okay, this is another cluster as a different theme altogether. There is one more cluster that is talking about another theme. Likewise, you will come up with systematic way of approaching the literature also. And in systematic literature review, there is a specific approach that is followed so that nothing will go out of your purview. All the important research literature is covered in systematic literature review. Okay, so if you go for narrative review, which is conventional style, sometimes you pick the articles whichever is accessible to you. You cover on the articles that are accessible to you based on your time and effort that you can give to that particular research. But in systematic review, you can save time. At the same time, you won't leave anything covering without covering. So everything is studied, everything is covered. In meta analysis, you can do theoretical analysis, you can do the comparative comparisons among the theories that are there. So in systematic review, mostly people are following today. You come up with the uh, concrete research gaps. You can come up with the concrete research gaps. Probably that helps you to come up with the right research questions and right research objectives, which will lead to a better research outcome. So in research design, after writing about what type of research we have done, this is the first one. After writing about what type of research you have done, you have to write about what methodology you have followed to do the literature review. Okay, after doing that, a brief statement of research gap you have covered in this particular research. There are different kinds of research gaps. Let me talk about different kinds of research gaps. Okay, these are the different kinds of research gaps. Evidence gap. This is, for example, um, so many theories are there which are not probably tested. Okay, for example, we talk about big five traits model, but is it tested in education sector? We don't know. Okay, probably it is tested in some other sector, but not in education sector. Okay, that means there is no evidence from education sector. It is tested in different fields, but not tested in particular field. That is called evidence gap. Okay, for sometimes a particular concept is tested in New Zealand, Australia, USA, UK, Japan or China, but it is not tested in India. That is called evidence gap. Okay, you can see people in conventional style, they used to write that there are no studies that are conducted in India, but there are studies available in so and so countries. But instead of that, you can say that, okay, this particular area is studied in these countries, but there is an evidence gap since there is no study conducted from India, or you can say from Karnataka or from Tamil Nadu. So this is one type of gap. What type of gap you are addressing in this research, you have to write in the research design. Sometimes knowledge gap, this is also important. Okay, sometimes knowledge gap will be there. For sometimes if you say Yes, COVID has drastically progressed just in the span of 1 month of time from this number of cases to this many cases. But what has made the COVID cases to increase in that faster pace? You don't know sometimes. Okay, sometimes how it is resolved also you don't understand. Sometimes you see student mindset changes with the time also you don't know why it has changed. Okay, for example, students last year they were behaving differently, but this year you notice some differences there. Their behavior has changed, but you don't know why. What has caused this? What are the reasons for this particular behavior? Okay, sometimes you feel you see certain particular behaviors, particular thing happening only in a particular area. You don't know why it is happening like that. That is knowledge gap. Okay, knowledge gap also can be addressed in the research. You can write about what type of gap you are addressing. Sometimes practical knowledge gap is there. Practical knowledge means some theories are there but they are not tested. Okay, why they are why this theory is not tested? You can test it. There's so many theories are there. Okay, in academics, okay, professors teach so many theories in the class. Okay, if this happen, this is the result. This, if you take this decision, this would be the result. Okay, sometimes you don't know whether it is true or not. Some practical knowledge gap probably is there. You can address that gap. Okay, sometimes methodological gap can be there. Okay, somebody has conducted study following a particular method, but you feel that whether the same conclusion can be derived if you adopt a different methodology. That is called methodological gap. Sometimes empirical gap will be there. That means something is tested in one area, one geographical region, or one field, but not tested somewhere else. That is empirical gap. Theoretical gap, sometimes we don't have theories in a particular field. Okay, you want to come up with a theory. Okay, that is called theoretical gap. Sometimes population gap will be there. That means something has been tested in particular demographic, but it is not tested in another demographic. So population gap can be there. These are the different kinds of gaps are there. What kind of gap you are addressing in this particular research, you should write in the research design. Okay, what should be covered in research design? First thing, research type. Second one, what type of literature review you have done. And third one, what gap you are addressing in this particular research, you should write. The next one, you should write about what is the problem you are addressing. What is the research problem you are addressing? A clear statement of the problem is very important for a sound research. Okay, sometimes people start without having a right problem statement. It leads to confusion. It leads to ambiguity. It leads to so many questions. Sometimes people question what problem you are trying to address through this research. You have no explanation to that. A clear statement to the problem is necessary. Okay, let me show an example of a research problem. Whatever I have written recently, I have conducted one race. I have done some analysis.
Sir, we can't hear you, sir. Sir,
How long it's like that?
we started no this problem statement while reading.
Okay, okay, fine, fine. So I'm just showing an example of problem statement now. Here you can see GST was aimed at creating simplified and unified tax system that will facilitate economic growth. Okay, GST has streamlined indirect taxation at national level. But it has presented significant challenges for MSMEs. Small businesses, which are backbone for Indian economy, struggle to comply with the GST due to administrative complexities, technological limitations, financial burdens, and insufficient training and government support. Despite being major driver of employment, these MSMEs face disproportionate compliance costs, making GST adherence and overwhelming, often affordable process. So this is the problem I'm talking about. This is the problem I try to address in this particular research. One of the critical issues and complexities of GST filing is the filing of the GST and registration procedure. Okay, MSMEs often lack the resources, tax expertise. Okay, they don't have expertise in handling multiple filings, document reconciliations, input tax credits, adjustments. So technological challenges are there. Okay, financial constraints are there for the MSMEs. Okay, this is a problem statement. Okay, this clearly says in what context I am conducting research. What is identified as a problem that has provoked me to take up this research. A clear definition of the problem, okay, drives the research in the right direction. So, and that problem statement has to be presented in research design. In research design, we have written about type of research. This is the first thing. Second one, how the literature review is done, the method of conducting literature review, that is explained. Third one, you have written about what gap you are addressing in this particular research gap you are addressing. And fourth one, the problem statement. And then you will write about research objectives, research questions, and hypothesis. All these three will go together. First, research questions. It should start with research questions. Okay, before that, let me write the problem. Okay, first you should start with research problem, and from that research questions. From research questions, you should write research objectives, and from research objectives, you should come up with the hypothesis. Okay, this is how you should narrow down. Okay, this is the right direction. Okay, you should not start with the hypothesis, you should not do the objectives first. You should start with the objectives. You should start with the problem, and from problem you should come up with the research questions, and from research questions you should develop the objectives, and from objectives you should come up with the hypothesis. So I have explained about problem, right? Research problem. And what are research questions? Research questions basically are the broad questions you frame. They should not be very narrow. Research questions should be very broad. Okay, I have shown one example of the research problem, right? What questions I have framed for that particular research? For example, how do regional disparities within Karnataka state in digital infrastructure impact the GST compliance capacities of MSMEs, particularly in rural and semi-urban areas? The second research question I framed is, what is the relationship between GST awareness, financial literacy, and compliance behavior of the MSME owners? The third question I framed is, what is the perceived effectiveness of government-led GST training programs and support initiatives in helping MSMEs overcome compliance challenges? These are the three questions I have framed based on the problem statement. And from these three questions, I have to develop research objectives. What research objectives, okay, are framed? Okay, this is research objective 1. Okay. Assess the impact of regional disparities. This is the style of writing for research objectives. Research question should be in the question style. Objectives should always start with to assess, to examine, to evaluate. That is how you should write the research objectives. Okay, the three objectives were developed, and from the objectives you have to develop hypothesis. Okay, I want to show how this flow should be. This is how I will write in any research that I done. First thing, okay, I have 6 research questions here. Why this question? No, this is different. One second. Let me use the total research file. Yeah. Mapping. Yeah. This is very important table you have to develop. First thing, these are the research questions I have taken. 5 research questions are there. For each research question, what are the relevant objectives that are there? I have to map them. Okay, for this research question, this objective has been framed. Okay, for example, the first research question, what are the primary challenges faced by MSMEs in achieving GST compliance? For that, objective is to identify and analyze the key challenges MSMEs face in GST compliance. These two are relevant. They can be mapped together because they both are talking about the same thing. A justification also has given. Okay, research question 1 aims to uncover the administrative, technical, and regulatory barriers. Okay, and research objective directly focus on identifying, analyzing these multifaceted challenges. Okay, they are talking about the same thing. That's why they are mapped. Okay, what question is addressed through which objective? So you have to map. Okay, that is important. After mapping questions with objectives, then you have to map objectives with the hypothesis. Okay, I have one objective here. Okay, to identify and analyze the key challenges MSMEs face in GST compliance. This is the research objective. Objective is achieved through testing two hypotheses. Hypothesis basically is an assumption. Okay, these assumptions are tested through analysis, right? So what are the hypotheses I have taken to achieve this objective? Okay, the first hypothesis is there is a positive relationship between the severity of administrative, technical, and regulatory challenges and the difficulty of achieving GST compliance among MSMEs. Here, hypothesis 6 also is connected to objective 1. Okay, objective 2 is connected to hypothesis 2. Objective 3 is connected to hypothesis 3. 4 is connected to 4th. Fifth question, fifth objective is connected to fifth hypothesis. And an explanation, a justification and explanation is also provided. And this is how the flow should be there. From the problem, questions should be framed. From the questions, objectives should be framed. From the objectives, the hypothesis should be framed. And the systematic mapping has to be presented in the research design. There should be a consistent flow. Okay, how the questions are relevant to objectives, or how the objectives are relevant to questions, how the questions are relevant to the problem statement, how the hypotheses are connected to objectives. This thing has to be clearly defined in the research design. The next thing is sampling. Okay, once the hypothesis is framed, for hypothesis testing you need data. How the data collection is done, what kind of data you are using. Okay, data collection methods. Okay, you can, if you rely on the secondary data, you will say what are the sources of data you are using. Okay, if you are using census data, you will say that the census of 2011 or 2011 Indian census data from 2011 has been used for conducting this analysis. If you want to use SDGs data, Okay, SDG scores provided by World Bank or WHO has been used. Likewise, you have to write which data you're using. If you have decided to go for primary data, empirical data, how you have collected data, is it through the interviews, or is it through the surveys, or is it through the experiment that you have conducted, or is it through a questionnaire that you have developed? You will explain that data collection method, and then how the sample has been decided. That means you, for example, if I'm studying about the economic uh, like the poverty in Bangalore city. Okay, Bangalore city has, let's say, 30 like the 10 crores population, or like 6 crores population, and from that, who are the people you are collecting data from, how many people you are collecting data from, and how you are selecting that particular sample. There are so many sampling methods. Okay, you have probability sampling methods, non-probability sampling methods. Probability sampling methods are where random sampling methods are used. Simple random sampling method, stratified sampling method, okay, which is also called proportionate sampling method, cluster sampling method. These are probability sampling methods. This is where you randomly pick your participants. You can also go for non-probability sampling methods where you pick the sample based on convenience, based on your judgment, based on whoever is available, based on your convenience. Okay, these are non-sampling methods. Okay, which sampling method you are using, that has to be mentioned in the research design. And after this, you should talk about what data analysis techniques you are using. Are you using statistical methods? Are you using some qualitative methods? Whatever the methods you are using, you have to explain. This is part of research design. Let me show an example. Yeah. In this study, I have 6 hypotheses, right? These are the 6 hypotheses I have. Okay, this one, yeah. The first hypothesis is about there is a positive relationship between severity of administrative, technical, and regulatory challenges and the difficulty of achieving GST compliance among MSMEs. This hypothesis is tested using thematic coding using NVO. This hypothesis is tested using hierarchical chart analysis of challenges theme. This hypothesis is tested using segment analysis. Okay, another hypothesis is there. This hypothesis says that inadequate digital infrastructure, including poor GST portal usability, limited mobile accessibility, unreliable internet connectivity, is significantly related to increased GST compliance. This is the hypothesis. I have tested this using word frequency analysis, such as digital portal connectivity. Cluster analysis is also done to test this. This is a qualitative study. That's why these type of analysis I have used. Okay, if I can go for statistical method also. For example, if I conduct ANOVA, I can say, okay, ANOVA, one-way ANOVA has been used to test this particular hypothesis. Okay, another hypothesis can be tested using structural equation modeling. One more hypothesis can be tested using t-test. Maybe if you go for um, this one, Kruskal-Wallis, Man-Whitney test also you can use. Okay, based on, if you go for statistical analysis, that is a quantitative study basically. In quantitative studies, statistical methods will come. This is an example of qualitative study. So that's why thematic analysis, hierarchical chart analysis, word frequency analysis, thematic analysis, coding, okay, sentiment analysis. These are these different types of analysis that has come. But you should explain what analysis you have used to test each of the hypotheses. This is called research strategy. This is called research strategy. What is your strategy? Okay, you have these hypotheses, but how you are approaching those hypotheses, how you are testing those hypotheses, there should be a sound methodology. Sound methodology is where nobody should say that, yes, this hypothesis cannot be tested using this particular method. If you say that I'm using this particular research method to test this hypothesis, it should be acceptable. It should be acceptable at least to all those people who are experts in that particular field. Okay, this has to be this research strategy where you explain about how each hypothesis is analyzed, what statistical method or qualitative method you are using, that has to be explained in research design. Okay, this is also part of research strategy. What is the approach, whether you are approaching using qualitative or quantitative or mixed methodology, that you have to explain that. Okay, these are not mandatory components, but budget and resources, like how much you have spent for that research. Okay, for data collection this much of time is used and this much of budgets were allocated, what resources that are used to conduct the study and all, you can explain research design. Okay, research strategy, I explain this. Next one, ethical considerations. What ethical considerations are there for this study? Okay, let me show you an example for that. This is also part of research design. Ethical considerations. I have collected data from chartered accountants and also MSME entrepreneurs. What ethics am adhered to? The first one, informed consent. I have informed them why I am conducting study, what is the nature, what is their nature of participation. Okay, all these things they were informed, and also participants were informed that their data will be kept confidential, and also the data will be anonymized. That means their identity will be protected, and data will be solely used for academic purpose. Okay, the research conducted is with complete transparency and participants were assured that their views would be used responsibly and without misrepresentation. Okay, these are ethical considerations. Okay, every research have probably different kinds of research ethical considerations. Whatever is relevant, you have to use that. Based on ethical consideration only, you have to give a declaration in the questionnaire. In the beginning, a declaration is provided to the respondent saying that okay, we will use this data only for these things. Okay, we won't we will use it only for academic purpose, academic research purpose only. All these things you will mention. Those are ethical considerations you will explain in research design. And timeline also you can mention what stages are there in the research, and in each stage what are the things that are done, what are that are part of that particular research step. You outline all the entire steps in the research. That is also part of research design. This is not mandatory one. This is budget and resource, I have explained already. This is also not mandatory, but some research calls for mentioning of the budgets and resources. So far, any questions are there?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, I want to ask you whether AI generated data is allowed in research paper. Is it ethical?
Using AI tools is not unethical, but
Okay.
not declaring that you have used AI tools is unethical. If you are not declaring that you are using AI tools, that is not
Okay.
ethical. If you declare that I have
Okay.
used
So,
these AI tools for these purpose, and if
okay.
you are using the AI generated content without verifying, without owning, that means if you are not owning that it is your content, that is unethical. For example, if some statement is there
Okay.
in your article which is generated through AI tool, okay, and somebody
Yes.
started questioning you why you have written like this, and you cannot say that chat gpt has given this. You have to say that it is mine, I have written that, you should own it.
Okay.
Okay, you have given AI tool an assistant role. Okay, it should
Yes,
not
I
be
have
the
to take ownership of the data.
yeah, you should own it. It is your
Okay.
outcome. You should
And I have to
dictate, you
mention
should
that I
give
have using
instruction to
these
the AI tool.
AI tools
Yeah.
in
And
reference section.
now AI is accepted everywhere, sir. There is no like resistance for AI tools anymore. That's gone. Maybe
Okay. So
one or
it
two
is not
years ago there was
non-ethical.
resistance. It's not unethical anymore. Nobody will raise this question anymore. Because let me show you one option.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I just want to show you, since this has come in Scopus website only, they have incorporated AI tool. I'm just going to Scopus website. Yeah, now Scopus AI has come where you can download, you can use the NLP model in Scopus website only directly. Oh, this is not coming now.
But the ChatGPT is not allowed,
No, it's not
or it
ChatGPT.
is allowed.
Sorry, ChatGPT.
ChatGPT generated data is
It's
allowed.
allowed, sir. It is allowed. It is
Yes.
allowed. There is no restriction to a particular AI tool, but what purpose you're using it for is important.
Okay. For example, research methodology,
Okay.
or or say the
See, for
literature review
example, yeah, let
mostly.
me, yeah, yeah, literature review can use it. Let me show you something, sir. So in this particular
Okay.
research, okay, I have gone for narrative literature review. Yeah. See, each paragraph talks about one study. For example, this study, what it talks about, what are the conclusions, it is written in one paragraph. This is another study. Likewise, I have done 60, 70 research papers. Okay. For example, if I copy this entire thing, let's say
Mm-hmm.
20 papers information, I copy it and I have gone to
Okay.
ChatGPT.
Mm.
Okay, for example, if I say that write literature review about GST in India, okay, it will give something. Okay, you should not take anything like this. This is completely unethical because this study,
Okay. Mm.
okay, probably is not existing at all. It is completely maybe something created
References may be
by
wrong.
ChatGPT. It has
References can
imagined
be
something.
one.
It has imagined something and written that.
And the
Okay,
references
ChatGPT
mentioned
will do
therein.
that. They are all wrong. These probably are not existing only. But if you do something like,
Okay.
okay, these are the, let's say I have copied 20 papers content, right? Okay, let's say
Mm.
this is the literature available about GST in India. Write elaborately, critically, okay, the commonalities
Mm.
and contradictions of this literature. That means you are giving the literature and you are asking to critically analyze it. So here it won't imagine anything. It will restrict itself to the literature that is given to it.
Okay. Means we cannot generate literature review from the chat GPT.
Yeah, it is, yeah, you
It is
should
not
not generate
acceptable.
anything, but you should give literature to that
Okay.
and you can ask questions with that literature. It is accepted.
Okay.
It is not unethical.
But sir, can I upload some research paper and ask it to generate the review from that literature paper?
Yeah, you can ask that. See, here you can
That
see
way
how it
acceptable?
is given. Yeah, that is acceptable. You can upload a research paper, you can ask
Okay,
to
sir.
summarize in a short paragraph. It will, that is not unethical.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So any other questions? Because I have covered that research design topic. That is the topic for the today.
Uh,
But if you have any questions, I'll answer to that.
Excuse me, sir. Good evening.
Yes. Yeah.
Is there any percentage limit on to which AI content is accepted in a paper? Do they have any percentage limit, like how we have for plagiarism? Is there any percentage limit on AI content?
Yeah, there is no a common approach. Every journal has its own terms and conditions for this. Most of the journals, okay, won't accept anything less than like beyond 10%. Most of the journals they say that it should be less than 10%. But okay,
Thank you,
some
sir.
journals will say up to 15%. Some journals will accept up to 20% also. See, ma'am, whenever you generate some content in AI tool, you have to read every statement to proper proofreading. That is very important because the AI tools, okay, sometimes they won't generate the content correctly. Okay, sometimes it will change the keyword, sometimes the context of the keywords will be misinterpreted, sometimes the outcomes that it gives is also completely wrong. You should assess whatever the content you are generating in AI. You have to you rephrase it, you have to rewrite it, certain statements you have to delete. That proofreading has to be done at the author's end, at the researcher end only. That is important. If you are not doing it, obviously the AI similarity will go up.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Hello. Sir, as you
Yes,
said
yes,
that
tell me, sir.
AI generated text is allowed.
Hmm.
Uh, I forgot the question.
Yes, sir. Okay. No problem, sir. When you
Forgot
get
the
it,
question,
you
sir. Sorry.
ask me.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir. Myself, Maltesh.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir. I'm
Sir,
listening.
I have one question related to. We are depending on the AI tools and something. The plagiarism is the one thing we are worried about. That is the thing. When we are uploading something. So, what we can do for that one? Plagiarism thing.
So plagiarism is not an issue because when you write it in your own words, automatically plagiarism will come down. Don't copy anything directly from whether it is website or a research paper.
Okay.
Okay, everything you write it in your own words. That is important. Automatically, the plagiarism will come down. But now the problem is mostly about AI content only. AI similarity percentage will be sometimes 60%, 40%, and sometimes if you write on your own also, it will be shown as AI content.
Yeah.
The
That is the
more you
thing we
use,
face.
the more you use heavy jargon, okay, high level language. This AI similarity tests, no, even that is Turnitin also, it is assuming that it is generated through AI tool. That means it is assuming that humans cannot write high level language. It is
Yes.
that
Yes.
there are flaws in this tests also. That's why this problem is there. But plagiarism tests won't be like biased. They are true only. If plagiarism in Turnitin it is showing 25%, yes, the 25% it will be there. But AI similarity test has so many flaws.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Easily you
Hello,
can
sir.
reduce the plagiarism, sir, by converting the passive voice to active voice to passive voice. You can reduce the plagiarism.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Jayant, sir, tell me.
Yes, sir. Sir, as you said, AI generated text is allowed, but I need to mention it, which AI tools I have used. So, where should I mention it?
Hmm. In tools, sir.
Which part of the research paper?
in a research design only, what tools you are using, you have to mention. For example, don't mention ChatGPT anywhere.
For
Don't
example,
mention
paper pal
anything.
or
One second,
okay,
I'll show you, sir.
okay,
Sir.
See here. See, for example, here, how the data analysis is done. I have written the tools. Okay, what tools are used for that? Here I have written that NVO is used. This is one tool. Orange is used. This is also mentioned. Next one, GPT models. In addition to NVO and Orange, GPT models were used to analyze the open-ended questions and identify common things through natural language processing NLP. This is nothing but GPT model, Chat GPT models only. This is how you have to write. Okay, whether you
I'm
use
not able to see
Copilot,
your
whether you
screen.
use Gemini. Sorry, sir. Oh, you can't see my screen. Let me share
Okay,
it. One second.
I'm not able to see
I'm
your
sharing
screen.
one second. Yeah, sir. I hope you can see now. Can you see,
Yes,
sir?
yes, right now.
Here I'm mentioning what tools I have used
Yes,
for
sir.
analysis. This paragraph I mentioned that I have used NVO. This paragraph I mentioned that I have used Orange data mining software. And this paragraph I mentioned that I used GPT models.
Okay, okay, okay.
Okay. GPT models,
Thank you, sir. Thank
okay,
you
were
very much.
used to analyze open-ended questions and identify common themes through natural language processing. This is nothing but
Sir,
okay.
can you give me this text?
Sorry. This is unpublished and this is about
Okay,
to be
okay.
submitted to somebody else.
As a sample, I just wanted to as a sample in my research paper.
If you want, you can take a snapshot of this.
But it is screen is very small, sir. Is it not visible? It is not visible.
Oh, okay. Let me zoom it, sir. Then.
Okay, sir.
So whether you use ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, whatever it is, DeepSeek, okay, the backend is GPT models only. So mention as GPT models. Don't
Okay,
mention whether it is ChatGPT or Gemini.
okay.
So because people are
Okay.
not very
GPT models is
broad-minded,
not.
they may reject it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir. And what was the first difference, sir, above orange?
So, sorry, about that is NVO, sir.
Okay,
That is NVO.
okay.
So this is qualitative study, no, sir. That's why NVO is used. If it is quantitative analysis, probably I will
Mm-hmm.
use SPSS or MOS.
Yes, yes. All right.
So any
Any
other
questions?
questions?
Sir. Sir, good evening.
Yes.
Sir,
Good
myself
evening, ma'am.
Athara Kumar. So I have a query regarding a literature review. So if we are if we start doing a particular study, we are doing a study, particular study. First, we'll study the reviews, right, sir? First, we'll look onto the reviews. So if we are taking that reviews as it is into our paper without changing it, or because it is being quoted, right? It's the words of some other uh,
Hmm.
some other writers. So if we are quoting it
Hmm.
as it is in our paper, whether it will increase the plagiarism.
It depends on how they are conducting plagiarism test because when you load a paper to test the plagiarism, there are options where okay they can say that quoted things can be exempted. If they enable it, it won't be counted for plagiarism. If they are not
Oh,
enabling
oh,
it,
oh.
it will be counted for plagiarism. But as per the UGC guidelines, they are exempted. If you read
Oh.
2017 guidelines for there are ethical guidelines and principles for research. There is a notification issued in the year 2017. If you read that, they clearly mentioned that quoted things are exempted from plagiarism. But
Oh, okay, sir.
universities, when they
Okay.
do the plagiarism test, they won't enable that option.
Okay, okay, okay. So
But
it's
those
so
who
it's
know that
better.
notification clearly, these guidelines clearly, they will enable it. But some people can't accept anything. They will count it
Oh,
also.
okay, okay. So it's better to summarize it, sir, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Better to write it in your own words again instead of using
how?
direct quotes.
Okay,
See,
sir.
but I will use direct quotes if it is the information from interviews. See, this for example here, I'm writing about chartered accountants. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, chartered accountants emphasize the government role in shaping GST compliance for MSMEs, particularly in the areas like training, infrastructure, and policy reforms. While government-led initiatives exist, accessibility remains a challenge as a small business owners struggle with language barriers and overly technical content. One accountant observed, this is a direct quote. Government training
Oh,
programs exist, but participation is low due to timing or language barriers. Private seminars are often paid, which discourages small business. This is a direct statement, but this is not published anywhere. So I don't have any problem.
okay.
I'll use direct statements. But if I
Okay.
do the same thing for the content from another article, probably sometimes it is very difficult because university librarians they are not aware of the guidelines issued by the UGC.
Oh,
You
okay,
know,
sir.
as
Okay,
per
sir.
that regulation, 2017 regulation of UGC, if the content that you used, if it is not like, if it is not consequently 14 words, that means if you use only 4 5 words continuously, it should not be counted for plagiarism. It should be considered as plagiarism only if it is beyond 14 words, as per that regulation.
Okay, sir.
That means less than 14
Okay,
words you
sir.
can use as per that regulation. But I don't know whether universities are following that guideline properly or not.
Sir, but when
Okay,
we
sir.
test it on Turnitin, does it still follow the same rule? Like if 14
No, no.
words are
In Turnitin also these options are there, ma'am. You can say that exempt if the plagiarism is less than 14 words, that option is there. But they won't enable it when they run
okay,
the test. That means the number of words they can enter the number and exempt it also. But they won't do that usually.
okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. I now call Mr. Vignesh to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. It is a great honor for me to deliver the vote of thanks for the today's professional development program. First of all, I sincerely thank our resource person for wonderful and informative session on research methodology and design in social sciences. Your clear explanation and practical tips have given us a better understanding of how to do research effectively. We truly appreciate the time and the effort you took to share your knowledge with us. Next, I would like to thank our management and official of Patrician College, along with the organizing team for arranging these useful sessions. Your support and perfect planning helped to make this event big success. A special thanks to all the participants, our respected faculty, research scholars, and students. Your active involvement, questions, and interest added so much value to today's sessions. This session has motivated us to do our research with more clarity and confidence. Let us take what we have learned today and apply it on our academic journey. Once again, thank you all for making this session meaningful and successful. Let us keep learning and growing together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir,